Welcome back to the Gen X Experience. This is episode 43, and today we are finishing our series on beauty over 40 with another fabulous interview with Margot Grant Witz, who is the third generation leader of ElizabethGrant Skincare, which is a Canadian family-owned brand that was founded more than 77 years ago by her grandmother, Elizabeth Grant. I know you're going to love this conversation. I had the best time talking to Margot. This whole series has been just so great. And I love that we have women from boomers and Gen X and millennial. Because beauty is a conversation that doesn't just apply to over 40. It's something that we always as women talk about. And the really great thing about my conversations, which you'll hear, is that we didn't just dive into talking about products. We talked about mindset and why it's so important, especially when as you're getting older, to embrace who you are, embrace the good, the bad, except that some days you're going to look in the mirror and go, "Oy," and just turn off the light and walk away. And then it's not just about what ingredients you're putting on your skin. It matters most how you feel about yourself and how you treat yourself and how you talk to yourself. And it also is important that we're having conversations across the generations. So we make sure that we're not spreading the same things that, we heard from our grandmothers and mothers of, you got to be this way and look this way and talk this way as a woman. We have so much pressure put on us, and the older generations did as well. So, we can't fully blame them for the ideals that we have, because society puts pressure on women and then they put pressure on other women. And it's just, it's a vicious cycle. And I think as Gen X and millennials, we can try and change that conversation, which we talked about in this interview. So enough of my babbling. Let's learn more about Margot before we get into our conversation. As I mentioned above, Margot Grant Witz is the third generation leader of ElizabethGrant Skincare, a Canadian family-owned skincare brand founded more than 77 years ago by her grandmother, Elizabeth Grant. Originally from South Africa and now based in Toronto, Margot earned her international business degree from Grenoble École de Management, I hope I said that right, in France before joining the company, where her forward-thinking approach brought Elizabeth Grant to a new generation of customers and global markets. Known for blending science, empathy, and authenticity, Margot continues her family's legacy of innovation through the brand's proprietary Torsilum complex, an ingredient born from resilience and refined through decades of research. She leads with the belief that we're not just selling creams, we're building a community, emphasizing self-acceptance and real results over perfection. Beyond her role as vice president and brand ambassador, Margot oversees EG Cares, the company's charitable division providing education and skincare to women facing health challenges. She frequently participates in workshops for women living with cancer, reflecting her deep commitment to giving back and empowering others to feel confident in their own skin. And you will see all of this represented in our conversation. So enough of me chatting. Let's get into my conversation about beauty over 40 and beauty in general with Margot. I'm excited to have you on today, Margot, to talk about beauty over 40 and what we can do to embrace aging and to slow the process down with skincare and taking care of ourselves. So when you think of beauty over 40, what is the first, were you prepared, I guess, as you were aging, were you prepared for the changes? Did you expect them? I mean, you work for a skincare brand, so obviously you knew more than most people, but did it kind of surprise you when you started noticing changes? Or are you just like, this is just how it is?
So here's the long short about aging. What's the opposite? You don't get to age. And I think with women specifically, and ultimately, we're made to feel as if we're not meant to age, that over the age of 40, we're meant to disappear and go over to pasture and never say anything about anything. And so for me, I think it's such an exciting time. I think ultimately, if you have a wrinkle and a crinkle, the whole world's here to help you feel better about it, hopefully, instead of worse about it. There's products topically, there's things you can go see someone to do. How we feel and look here is mostly a reflection about how we feel about aging in here. And I think ultimately we're made to feel that the countdown is on. And when you hit 32, get ready for those wrinkles and crinkles.
Right.
But I also hear emotionally from so many women that the age of 40, 50, 60, 70, there's this peace that comes over us internally as well. So how do we look at it to say, okay, I've hit 40, 45, 42, 43, 64, 78, whatever it is, and embrace the joys and the sorrows that can come with it. I mean, my mom is 73. She's my grandmother's daughter-in-law who's 102. She's turning 103 in January 2026. And what I say about this is I can't look at them and be like, you don't understand it. You don't get the aging process. You don't get lines and wrinkles. They've lived it. But I think what's universal is how women are made to feel about the aging process. And it's not usually that great.
It's so, yeah, men are distinguished and we're, yeah, like we should be, you know, like the Eskimos put on an igloo and like
Out you go. Toodaloo, to the forest. Yeah. You need to disappear. Yeah.
And it's sad too, because it's not just, you know, our looks are valued more than they should be, but also in addition to that, because they think we're old, they don't value who we are as a person. And it is about mindset, but it can be really hard, especially when a lot of us are going through perimenopause and menopause. And there are times, at least I know I've experienced this, where I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I don't recognize myself, or my medication's not working and my skin, I'm like puffy. And it's hard to like get in that mindset of like, this is, you know, you can do something about this. This is aging.
For sure.
Yeah. It's
like when you look in the mirror and you say, I don't know who this person is. What a great opportunity. And this is not to diminish anything, but introduce yourself of who you are. Say, I am not feeling that great today, but you know, I might look great tomorrow. Or my personal air conditioning is broken. Okay, flashes of heat are there. We might get a little bit more jiggly. It might get a little bit more wiggly. But okay, because I always say women are never the right age. Always either too young. We're an ingenue. We don't know anything. We're naive, or we're too old. You can't say anything, or you're not in a position enough to be able to have a voice at the table. I think women are always told to be kept smaller than maybe who they are, who they can be. And then our mindset internally, sometimes not so great. So if you look in the mirror and you don't love what you see that day, okay, it's time to get rid of the mirror. Because I can tell you today, tomorrow, and yesterday, the world is better because you're here.
Right. And that's a very valid point to like really think about, you know, yeah, step away from the mirror if you're feeling not great, but also to remember you're more than just how your hair is looking.
More than just that reflection.
Yeah. There's so much more to you. And I think, you know, as Gen Xers, like I remember my mom would tell my sister, brother and I, you can be whatever you want. But then she would also tell my sister and I, we needed to like act like ladies. Mm-hmm. And after we got a little older, I think she kind of gave up because we're like, Mom, sometimes we would just say words and do things just to, you know, shock her. But it was conflicting because, and I think, you know, she was silent gen. And I think it was conflicting for boomers and silent gen too, is like, they wanted to be more, but they always had in the back of their mind, I'm supposed to act this way. I'm supposed to look this way.
100%. And when you think about that, like my grandmother, she could not, both my grandmother and my mother grew up in a time that they could not have a bank account on their own. They could not have a credit card on their own. My grandmother was not allowed to open the business Elizabeth Grant without my grandfather signing. My mom could not get a loan from anybody in Canada, in any Canadian bank, because she was a woman in business as an entrepreneur. And there was only one bank in Canada out of, I don't know, the dozens that she went to that said, yes, I'm going to give you a loan because I believe in you. So we're made on every generation, on every continent, in every language, in every country, that women are made to feel less than. Women are made to feel smaller. Women are made to look at another woman and be like a crab in a bucket. How can I pull you down? Versus, how do I fix your crown? How do I know how you're feeling? Because I felt it too. How do I know that what universally you're experiencing about not loving what you see, not feeling good enough, not feeling like you're allowed to take up the space that you're in, that's more universal than it's not. I grew up with brothers and they can just saunter in and hold their head up high. And I've always looked at them and said, well, why can't I? And my grandmother has always taught that to me. If not you, then who? You know, if you're not able to find your confident voice, go to a different room where someone will listen to you. Because I can promise you, if someone's not listening to you in the room that you're in the wrong room. Go next door.
Yes. No, I love that. It's true. Yeah. We are always afraid, I think, to take up space. And then it's true what you're saying. Like when I think about, the way we see each other, my friends and I have always talked about how our worst bosses have always been women because they see us as competition instead of
Yeah.
where men would see someone under them who's doing well and be like, oh, that's a reflection on me. And
Yeah.
a woman's like, oh, she's going to overstep me instead of like, I might get promoted and then she'll get promoted. And that's a reflection on me. And it makes it really hard.
Completely.
Yeah. And I know you probably see this. There's a lot of conversation like we need to support all women. We need to not tear them down. And I feel like it's valid, but also like we do need to also still hold each other accountable.
Like I said the other day, I was having a conversation. I'm a chatty Cathy. I talk to everyone. And someone was saying to me, and she was relaying a story about what she was saying to her kid. She's like, I want you to be aggressive. And I said, I hate to say this, but can we change that language? Why does she have to be aggressive? Can she be assertive? Can she be able to stand in the space in her confidence, in her action, and find her voice where she's the most comfortable to stand in her own 2 feet? Women have the sense of making the character in her mind, whether it's the Cruella de Vil, whether it's the Mrs. Brady, whether it's the Madonna or the Mona Lisa, whoever the archetype that we are framed in our head to feel like we have to stand in the shadow of, versus saying, we're allowed to be who we are. And we're also allowed to tell someone when their behavior is less than who they could be.
Yeah.
And I think instead of being nervous about saying that, you don't have to pull someone down to give them this critical information, but you can say, do you want my advice or do you want me to listen? And I think in that space is the most eye-opening experience for someone who heard that question.
I love that because, it's easy to just tell someone like you're being a mean girl.
Yeah.
And we all know, I mean, we had, Heathers in the 80s and then Mean
Loved
Girl
that
later.
movie. The best.
And we always had in John Hughes movies or movies that are there's always the bully.
Yeah.
But I think where guys will call each other out, women will just be catty and mean. And I think I love the way of reframing it going, is that how you want not just people to see you, but how do you want to see yourself? Do you want to see yourself as the mean girl? Do you want to be in that headspace, or do you want to be assertive and opinionated without being not nice? Because there's a fine line, I think.
There is a very fine line, but I feel that men aren't worried about saying their truth because there isn't the emotional manipulation with it. Not always. There is emotional manipulation with some conversations. This is not a universal truth. But they can say, I don't really like that behavior, and then, okay, cool, and go have a conversation on the couch or watch the game and they're best friends in 2 seconds. And women always have this sort of underlying, how do I even say it? Even in the best case, I'm sure we've all had the experience of 2 a.m. when we wake up thinking about a thought from 20 years ago that's haunted us. It's one of those things that no one pays any mind to, but women have so many layers and so many granules and so many different aspects of pressure that it's almost impossible not to constantly be thinking, do I fit? Do I belong? Am I kind enough? Was that fair? Did she take that the wrong way? Oh my goodness, can we have a conversation about this? Instead of just knowing that there's space to have that, as I tell my son every night, words have meaning and words have weight. So if you choose your words properly and know that sometimes words can have a different meaning to somebody, you take care in what you say. And I think if we do that a little bit more versus wondering what's in their back pocket, it can be very freeing.
Yeah. It's funny. It reminded me of the saying we all, sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt me, which is completely not true.
Because words hurt.
Yeah, you can heal from a broken bone and you may remember the incident, but you're going to remember. Yeah, because doing this podcast, I definitely reflect on my past and my childhood. And there are sometimes things come up that I haven't thought about in a really long time, or the way I was treated in junior high or high school, or, growing up in a small town, and it still is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always tell someone, and I tell this because I talk to a lot of like younger kids now and younger girls. High school does end, although it never feels like it, but it does end. And and it's one of those moments that I can say, you see that mean girl in high school. And listen, anyone would be not as truthful as they could be if they saw their bully in high school not doing as grown or as well or in the same position that you are, and sort of like just dust off your shoulder and be like, yes, you got it. But but it's also nice to say that person isn't who I am anymore, and I'll give you the space that maybe you're not that person anymore, but I also don't have to waste my time with anything other than a pleasantry of hello and yeah, good to see you.
Yeah. And when high school's over, you don't have to go. Like, I haven't gone to any of my reunions because I just don't have the capacity to ask people how they are if I haven't spoken to them in decades and don't really, I mean, that sounds me, but don't really care. Like,
Why does that sound
what
bad?
I'm doing, like,
because it's okay. Like,
yeah.
it that should not feel bad. Like,
No.
I'm sure you have a whole life that is busy, a family, a career, friends who you spend time with. I don't have enough hours in the day for anything. So if you're seeing someone who you're like, oh, I haven't seen or spoken to you in 20 years, what did Taylor Swift just say? And I hate to quote her, but I will, that like time is your bank account or whatever it is. And how much time do you want to spend on something? And it's true. You don't have to waste time because you're not getting it back.
No, I was just I was joking on TikTok about like, the amount of work, because I just finished a workout and I was thinking there's so much work I have to do. I have like a whole to-do list of taking care of myself now that I'm in perimenopause, and it's exhausting. And it reminded me of this book that I read by Oliver Berkman called 4,000 Weeks. And the whole premise is we only have so many weeks, as a person on this planet alive. And
if you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky, and if you spend it either, trying to accomplish everything and thinking just you're never going to get everything done. You need to think about what's most important to you, and also just stop concentrating on things that you have no control over, or things that you do, like let it go. Because, if you're holding on to what somebody said to you as a woman in junior high or high school in your 50s or your 40s, it's going to affect how you feel about yourself. And when you look in the mirror or, and you're like, oh, well, they're right, I'm still this and that. And that's not a healthy way to live.
I always say, don't let someone plant seeds of doubt that lead to a forest of despair. If you're not going to invite them to your dinner table, if you do not care really that their opinion is going to change your day today, tomorrow, in an hour, okay, thank you so much for your opinion. So inappropriate, but like the thing is, like, there's that saying that opinions are
like, yeah, everybody has one.
Everyone has one, and most of them are stinky.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like one of those things. It's tough, and life is tough in general, and there's so much going on in general. If you have the option to not let the nonsense take up so much space, amazing.
Yes.
And that's what I said, like, that's why I hear like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s women are just like, perfect, I'm free. I'm free emotionally. I don't have to have this stuff anymore. So as scared as we are to like approach that number in your mind of aging, whatever it is, what a blessing it is to get there. And I think about today that we can have conversations about perimenopause and menopause and say the term and say the connection and have that. People are on TV talking about it. There's skincare that is about it.
No.
When 10 years ago, we were not allowed to say, so I do tele shopping. So the QVCs, the TSCs, the Ideal Worlds, the all 5 easy payments, $9.99. But wait, there's more. I'm that girl. But we weren't allowed to say 10 years ago on TV the word or term menopause. We were not allowed to say anything. We could be like, is your personal air conditioning broken? Are you going through your own moment of heat where you get flashes of redness? And it's an everyday thing that someone goes through. So to be able to have that comfort, I would say, or space to say that this is not something we have to hide from or be ashamed of anymore is also really proactively freeing, but I still think has layers to undo for us to be comfortable with, especially with every generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Gen Zs and younger millennials, they say whatever, it's who I am, with the zit stickers. Yes. And I'm sitting there going, how are you wearing a star on your face? Like, wow. And it's like neon blue. Oh my goodness. Like, that's so freeing. Okay. Mm-hmm. Everyone has like a pimple or a wrinkle and things like that. But to be able to have the space is also relearning for elder millennials, zillennials, Generation Z, the silent generation, baby boomers, everyone in between, that we can all keep learning, hopefully, and growing in a positive direction together.
Yeah, it's important to do it. I applaud when I see the younger women, teenagers, preteens wearing those stickers. I'm like, when we would never have one, we would
Ever.
trying to hide as much as possible that, having acne, even though everybody had it to some degree,
Sure.
some people more, but we were so ashamed of it. And granted, all the products that we were using were probably making it worse back in the 80s.
But men were allowed to have whatever pimple, whatever they wanted, out they go. And you're sitting there going, this doesn't make sense.
I do remember, so my dad was an orthodontist, and at some point, I don't know if it was after I was done with braces, but at some point it became cool to wear colored rubber bands. And I kind of love that because people were embracing wearing braces, and it was like a fashion accessory instead of, metal mouth and whatever. And so it's, we need to teach younger generations to embrace who they are, which is not easy when you're a kid, but
Listen, we're all flawed.
yes.
Whatever it is, we have flaws. And I think those flaws, whether they're physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, whatever it is, can you grow from them? Can you learn from them? Can you become at peace with them? And I say at peace as well because there's some things you can't ever really fix. But you can become at peace with it where you're not fighting it.
Yes.
And I think that's a very freeing place to be as well.
I wholeheartedly agree. So when you were talking about being able to say menopause and perimenopause, what do you think, anti-aging, that word is used so much in skincare, granted half the time when you see ads, and I work in advertising as a copywriter, I'm like, you're showing someone you're talking about wrinkles and fine lines, and you're showing a 20-something-year-old, which is
who's airbrushed.
Which I'm like, that's kind of false advertising. But I know there's been conversations in the last several years about not using anti-aging. And as a copywriter, I'm like, well, how do we talk about it in a different way?
Pro-aging?
Right. Because everyone knows what that means. So what do you think about not using anti-aging or embracing it in a different way? Because you can't stop aging, but you can, use skincare and the ingredients that help you look your best. How do you think we can change that narrative?
Well, I think to change the narrative, it goes back into the deeper conversation of why are so many gentlemen sitting on the heads of boards of skincare companies or ownership telling people how they feel and how they should be aging and what is the standard of beauty. You're even looking at AI images now that are not even human beings. And it's like, you can see this person is AI and nothing's real. I think if we can unplug on our comparison selves, which is really hard in North America, and I say North America because it is global. I'm not going to say that this is not a global entity of pressure, internal, external, but we're so fixated on being plugged into social and comparison and the perfect reel and the perfect this and the perfect aesthetic. It's a lot of work. And I think if we're more open and honest to say, we're not perfect all the time. And I use this as a silly example. We were just selling our house and we had to stage it. Okay, I have 2 babies, a 15-month-old, a 5-year-old, a puppy. I had to pretend like I didn't live here. And I'm sitting here being like, what are you talking about? I had to remove half my clothes of my closet. Everything on the counter had to be clear. And I looked at my mom and said, hey, Mom, when people came to look at your house back in the day, did you stage? She's like, no, people knocked on the door, you came in. I think about renters in apartments that you get 24-hour notice, you see clothes, you see this. There's something about the imperfection that I think just needs to be done a little bit more. I think if we're able to remove the veil, remove the mask, have those insecurities out, have those imperfections out. And I say, even though Gen Z would have the zit sticker on with the purple star or the Mickey Mouse or whatever it is, if you still ask, how are you feeling? There's still so many layers of, I don't feel good enough. I don't feel right enough. I don't feel like I have the right shoes or this. I think the more we can sort of unplug and step away from these and be able to have the understanding that universally we're all made to feel a certain way, and it's good to be bored and it's good not to have that comparison. I mean, my comparison when I grew up in elementary, junior high, and high school was I would see like Susie McD walking down with a brand new pair of jeans. I'd be like, oh my God, I love those jeans. Where'd I go? Claire's or whatever it was to get the hair. Do I have my ears pierced? You don't have your ears pierced. You have clip-ons. Oh my goodness. Like these were the things. I don't envy the kids of today. I don't envy the fact that they're always plugged in. And I think if we're able to unplug wherever it is it at home? Is it the conversations you have with your kids? Is it really being able to listen to your kids? Is it really being able to listen to your girlfriend? Because the feelings of emotions don't stop when you leave high school or university. There's so many battles that we might not know of the person who's sitting next to us who can be our closest friend, because of the insecurity of saying it, or the fear that if I tell you I'm not feeling great, are you going to have the space for me to hear it? Or are you going to be the space for me to deny it? And what I mean by denying it is, instead of asking, do you want my advice or do you want me to listen? Let me try to tell you why it's not feeling that way. Let me try to tell you why you should be feeling something different. You have all these great things going on. And sometimes you just have to have the space to say, I'm scared. I don't feel great. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel special enough, to take the shadows out of the fears. And when you are able to say it and shine your light on it, it's unbelievable. And I think we have to do that with each other. I think we have to be able to have the space of, I don't care if you call it pro-aging, anti-aging, ishkabibble, makeup, fake up, glow up, mock down, whatever term you want, just to say, it's kind of tough to be a woman at every age and every stage. And how do we just make today feel a little easier for each other?
Yeah, and I think reframing, because you could still call it anti-aging because we all collectively know what that means, but it doesn't have to mean a bad thing. It could just mean like, these are the things you use to, if you're in perimenopause and menopause, you're having issues with your skin, or as you get older, maybe your skin gets drier, or you do whatever it is, like it's not a bad thing, because
it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, aging is a privilege.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing. Like, not everyone gets afforded it. And I always think about it this way. We have those memories where you look in the mirror, you go, oh my God, I'm to this, I'm to that. Why not this? Why can't I look like this? I hate my hair. And then you look back on that photo in 5 years, 10 years, and you're like, God, I wish I looked like her.
Right.
We're always never looking at who we are in that moment and thanking that person for how far they've come.
Very true. Yeah. Although I will say, when I look back at my pictures from 80s and 90s, the only thing I'm always criticizing is like, why did I think my hair was good that way? Why did all of us have the worst bleach, perm, teased?
Like, because we can never, I honestly, I remember when I went platinum blonde. I do not recommend it for myself ever. But I thought, and like, I have those photos buried away because they are awful. But I'm glad she existed.
Yes. If we all brought out our pictures from high school, most likely we all have the same hair.
Clothes, attitude, it's just, it was a time. It was a time.
It was definitely a time. It is funny when people post sometimes the pictures. I'm like, we all had the same hair, we all had the same makeup, and it's kind of funny when you're seeing other people, but like, you're like, okay, we were all in the same boat. So it's not like we were all standing out because one of us decided to have bigger hair than the other. Yeah, it's so speaking really quick before we dive into being over 40, what do you think about the whole, talking about the younger generations and the pressure they have, and then you have this whole Sephora Kids movement, and then recently, Shay Mitchell released a skincare brand for toddlers called Rini. Like, do you think, and I see conversations where parents are like, what's the big deal? We did what our parents did. I'm like, yeah, but we didn't put retinol on our skin or actives on our skin. And our parents said no to things. Do you think that, and a lot of the parents are, Gen X, millennial. Do you think like we're causing that, like adding to that layer of feeling insecure as a kid and wanting to have all the stuff you don't need?
I think it's like a two-pronged sword, right? So you have Susie McHugh, who's wearing those great jeans and great shoes and great everything, and you want that too, right? So that is a universal thing, regardless of if it's Susie McHugh or John Paul Smith. Men and women have that comparison of, I want those shoes, I want those jeans, I want those things. I think parents should feel more comfortable saying no. I think it's a shame that Sephora, good for you. You made a better sale. You made a better quota. You made a better marketing. Okay, if that goes down to your bottom line. But I think people in places of brands and stores and things that we know have a direct link to self-esteem, you should kind of hold yourself a bit more accountable. And so when the parents are like, sure, all these kids can go in there, it's hard to stop it, because how do you stop it when a kid will go by themselves with their friends or order on their smartphone or have the things? How do you stop it? It's really hard. And how you stop it is the fundamental conversations you start having at a very young age. So why do you want this? Why do you want the skincare, right? I have my girlfriends who bring their daughters over all the time. And if I were to turn my camera around, you would see it. Like, I'm in my studio, so I have all of my products right here, right? And my favorite is when a blip on the earth, blip, 13, 14, 11, just a blip. I need collagen for my skin. I go, what? They go, well, it's collagen, it's firming. I'm like, all you have is firmness. Your skin is a trampoline. Like, what are you talking about? But it's not unique to today. And why I say that is I remember when I was 15, because I'm turning 41, I went to the store and I bought all the makeup. And I bought all the heavy foundation, and I bought all the heavy powder, and I bought all the heavy concealer. And my grandma said to me, she says, what are you concealing? You have nothing to conceal. Why do you have a concealer on? I'm like, you don't understand. She's like, I was a makeup artist. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Of course I understand. But it's all sort of our own cross to bear, our own rite of passage. So it's not a unique young person's game today that has that pressure. We all have that pressure, but we have that pressure because we're being told from a very young age that you're going to get old, and you don't want to get old, and you don't want to be this, and you don't want to be this size, and you don't want to have this color hair, and you don't want to have these bangs. And if you're over the age, remember, if you're over the age of 40 or 50, you can't have long hair because that ages you, right? There's always something that's being told to sort of shrink yourself to stay where you are. The conversation about the masks of Shay Mitchell is, are they that terrible? No, they're not that terrible. Does it make people feel a little cringy because it's directed to 3-year-olds? Yeah. And I think the conversation should be, why are you doing that to a 3-year-old? Like, if you want to, like, I was in my grandmother's makeup chair when I was 5 or 6 years old, and not because I wanted to go to my grandmother's makeup chair, but because I would go spend time with my grandma. She was a makeup artist, and she treated me like a little doll, I think have fun with your kids. I think have those spa treatments with your kids, but I don't think that we should be coining the reflection at such a young age. I think we should try to create a space where you're not always tuned into what you're seeing, whether it's your smartphone, whether it's the mirror. Maybe we shouldn't have that much of a reflection on us all the time.
Very true. And having that conversation too with your kids, because there was an article, I don't know, it was last year or a couple years ago, talking about why kids wanted the products, and some of them were like 7 or 9, and I'm like, they were on social media, which I'm like, they shouldn't be. But if your kids are just like, because they see you do it, like I remember wanting to play with my mom's makeup because I saw her doing it, and I just but that was because I wanted to have fun and be like her. That's one thing. But if your kids are like, because I look old and I'm going to, then you do need to sit down and be like, you don't, you know, and everyone.
Then at that point, you need to chuck out the phone. You need to chuck out the phone. You need to chuck out the iPad. You need to be the uncomfortable parent to start undoing that mental and emotional trauma that is there. And it can come as, I will always remember, there's also conversations, and I think instead of skincare now, it was diets, right? Like the Special K diet, the Ensure diet, and the rice diet, and the I'm just not eating diet.
The cabbage soup diet.
The cabbage soup, the celery soup, all of it. And you're sitting there going, okay, what's our language that we're also having in front of our kids? Right? Because it is not just outside world. The outside world, that is going to keep going. It's also the inside universe, that an ecosystem that you're creating. And so I'm not going to say it's perfect. It's not easy. It is really difficult to be a parent, and we're all just trying our best. But if you start seeing it and you start hearing it, I think you got to do the hard work yourself as well. Put your cell phone down and have that conversation. And how do we undo it? Because it's only going to get rougher, and it's only going to get more difficult. And how do you equip your children with, as I say to my son, and I've been doing it, he's 5, I've been doing it for 4 years, every single night with a 10-minute speech. How do I get your self-esteem as strong as it can be? How can I get you to be as confident as you can be? Not by denying your concerns, not by denying what you feel are your flaws, but let's go into it so that no one else can weaponize it.
No, that's very, very important. And, you know, my mom was silent, Jen, as I said, and she was very good at saying no, like, you can't wear makeup. And you know, it was like slowly, first I could have clear mascara in junior high. And I think, I was allowed to wear a little bit of makeup when I had my bat mitzvah, and then, or at first I could do lipstick. And I remember once we found her old diary, I think from when she was like 12 or 13, and she like wrote like, I want to wear makeup and I'm only allowed to wear this, or I got to wear my first, you know, lipstick. And so, you know, but I'm thankful that she said no, because I feel like I took better care of my skin. I didn't wear as much makeup. I don't have a problem, and I never have, of going out without makeup on. Like, I don't care.
No, but the thing is as well, is I think I don't even think she probably knew this purposely, but subconsciously, she didn't want you to have to grow up so fast, because once you started with makeup and this and that, it doesn't stop. So it's like that gateway, right? Everyone's worried about if you have a drink with a friend when you're too young at their house, but it's like, when was your first lipstick?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
When was your first, like, bust out, I'm gonna just lift the shirt a little bit to show the navel, you know? Those little micro doses of exposure also what accelerates our pressure of growing older and how we feel about it. And it's one of those things, I will keep saying it, the opposite of growing older is you don't get that opportunity at all, and you're dead.
Yeah.
So how do we embrace it?
And I think it's something you have to remind yourself of, because
every day.
Yeah, because I've lost both my parents, and I've occasionally become very aware of my own mortality. Because I feel like when you have your parents, you're like, okay, I'm still, you know, I got a long way to go. And then when you don't have them, you're like, wait a second, you know, and now being in my 50s, I'm like, how did I get here? So it feels so fast.
It is.
Yeah, you have to remind yourself, like, not everyone gets to be this age or that age, or gets to have wrinkles, or gets to have the collagen, you know, go away
or
from
gets
their
to
skin.
complain. You know, like, my dad passed. He's passed 15 years ago, and he was a lot younger than he should have been. And so you think about the people, and I always say, it doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter the stage. When you lose your parent, it shakes you, because your parent, it's always your parent. You're never meant to go. They're always meant to grow. But you know, in the back of your mind, and I said this the other day to a friend, because her father-in-law's ill. And she's like, I don't know what I'm going to tell my kids. I said, what's crazy is the kids expect the grandparents to pass. It's never like an easy thing, but they know my grandparents are old. Grandparents die. But you never think about it for your own parents. And when that happens, regardless of the age, regardless of the stage, your core of who you are shakes.
Yes.
And you have to find your own identity in your own 2 feet without the umbrella of who your parents are to love and protect you.
It's so, yeah, it does. It shakes you to the core, and you can never prepare for it. Even if you subconsciously go, okay, I know someday I won't have my parents, but you always think that you'll be super old.
Or then, like, you know, your parent is sick. And you're like, I know my parent is sick, but it doesn't make sense.
No. And I miss like talking to my mom. Well, talking to my parents about doing the podcast, or talking to my mom, you know, about beauty and aging. And because it's nice to have, you know, you have your mom
that
and
bookend.
to have them like to talk about their experience.
Did you go through this? Did you feel this? Am I crazy? Like, was this the same as you? And it's always yes. Different outfits, different pressures, different shades of lipstick, but always yes.
So growing up with, you know, skincare and, you know, being part of a beauty brand, you're part of your family, did that influence how you took care of your skin? Did it, you know?
No. So up until I was like 17. So I worked with the company when I was like 13. I would like pack boxes in the basement with my girlfriends. But up until the age of 17 or 18, why would my mother's stuff and my grandmother's stuff be better than what was in the store, or what I could buy at Sephora, or what I can do anything here? And as mentioned, I would go and I'd get all the stuff and I'd put it on my face. But it was only as you sort of start being able to see things from someone else's eyes that I was able to see. And my mom was the same. She always said, why would I take my mother-in-law's stuff? Who believes their mother-in-law and things like that? That's a whole different podcast we can have a whole different other day on. But she was also a brand snob, and she would always sort of give the stuff away, give the creams away, give the serums away. And so for me, my mom's favorite story is she wanted a job with my grandmother, her mother-in-law. And she said, Mom, I'm here for the job. And my grandmother said, that's nice. It's not going to be with me. And my mom was like, what do you mean? I'm your daughter-in-law. She's like, yeah, but your skin's lousy. I've been giving you stuff for 10 years and you've never used it. And I can tell by your skin. And my mom, although was flabbergasted by her honesty and her directness, wasn't lying. Like my mother did give it away. My mother did say like all the things like, why would I take this from my mother-in-law? And her skin changed because she wanted the job. She wanted to get a job with my grandmother, her mother-in-law. So she used the product, and her skin went from cheetah spots, sun worshiper, to she looks phenomenal. And so for me, it was never influenced in terms of, well, this is what I should be using. This is this. Like I would always go to my mom's bathroom and take her cream and put it on. But there was always something that I could see how women specifically, because we have Trislam girls and have Trislam boys in our Trislam community. And Trislam is our main ingredient that transforms people's skin and improves them. But I would see how women would hold their head up a little higher going to talk to my grandmother, or say, thank you so much, or you changed my life. And I could also see what the purpose of the skincare company was doing for my grandmother and my mother as well, and gave them a sense of purpose and a sense of confidence. So when I had the opportunity to join full time as the secretary, and then customer service, and then public relations, and up and up and up and up, I was always grateful for the opportunity I had to help to try to change the conversation and the narrative about how we are made to feel at any age and at any stage. So the fact that I don't have to spend gazillions of dollars on mediocre skincare, because what people don't understand is we are one of, if not the only, privately owned skincare companies in the entire world that is privately owned and operated by 3 generations of women who make manufacture and formulate every single product in-house. Our leading chemist, the head of our R&D, the head of our lab, is a woman in her 50s who understands the aging process from aging that in that process. So I think when people, and it's my favorite when a girlfriend asks me, well, what about the skincare? What about the skincare? And I just tell them, do you know the parent company who owns it? Because the majority of companies are owned by the same formulators, the same factory, and they put the same creams in different jars with different labels. And it's one of those things, once you demystify it, once you sort of look behind the curtain to see who the wizard really is, that's what's so crucial and important for people to know. It's not our ingredients. There's not a magic secret place that one person only has. And once you understand how something's made, what the ingredients are. My favorite thing is a girlfriend of mine sent me a product the other day from Sephora. And she said, is this a great retinol alternative? And we all know what the retinol alternatives are, battery oil and things like that. And I looked at her, I said, there's nothing in here. Like, there's nothing in here that is even a retinol alternative except for the label on the front of the thing. So I think once we can demystify it, I think people will feel a lot more empowered to know that maybe what your mother gives you or what your grandmother gives you or what your mother-in-law gives you, it's pretty good.
Well, and I think, as someone in advertising, like, I'm very big I don't like when brands make drug claims when they're a beauty brand. You're not allowed to do that. I don't like when they say, yes, this is a retinol alternative. And if you understand the ingredients, you're like you said, there's nothing in there. So how can they say that? Or, just making these promises, or when they let influencers, talk about their brand and they're using filters. I'm like, that's false advertising.
That's a big no-no. Or my favorite with the mascara. It's my favorite one.
Mascara.
You see the tiny one. They're using lashes, false lashes on top of it. And you're like, how is that allowed?
And it shouldn't be. Just because you put a disclaimer, like you're not.
But it's not big. Make the disclaimer big. If you're so proud about your product, okay? If you're so confident in your product, that disclaimer shouldn't be something that I have to read with a 20x magnifying glass to see it. Stand behind it.
Especially with, I get back in the day when you had, camera technology wasn't as good. So maybe they had to use the lashes because you couldn't see it. But we have technology now to make things look the way they're supposed to. So let's stop making things look fake. Because then you turn on the mascara and you're like, my lashes don't look like that.
My lashes don't look like that. But not even my lashes don't look like that. I'm not able to bat my eyelashes enough. So I guess I'm not pretty enough to wear this mascara. And that's where it goes. That's where the drop goes. And so why I say empower people with information and knowledge and demystify as much as you can. And also, when you have your kids at home, if you have your best friend down the street who is your age, always have the harder conversations, because it's important to have them. Don't be mean about them, but just the amount of times I have checked my girlfriends who talk in front of their children about how big they are, how old they are, how they don't feel pretty. And I go, stop, because the years you have in front of you, it's decades of damage that you're about to create without even recognizing it and without them recognizing where it starts.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, if you ask anyone in, Gen X, millennials, what our parents, our moms said to us, it was the stuff that their moms told them. You had to be skinny, you had to be pretty, you had to do that.
Yeah.
And none of that should matter. And then because we keep perpetuating that, then men think that's what we're supposed to be like as well. And now we're like saying we're not going to be that way, which is confusing to them, and they're not listening anyways. But
they never listen.
No.
But this way, the dad bod is like something that we can achieve, and it's like, look how sexy this man is, he's a dad bod. And you're like, okay. And the mom with the newborn, what about that bod? How about is that a nice body to have? Can we have that body? It's just one of those things. My grandmother's always joked with me about, we always say people want to be plump in a few places: your face, your bust, and your tush. That's where it's acceptable to quote unquote be plump. But listen, it's to see the road of the ultra skinny supermodel 90s tiny waif aesthetic, to then go to buxom and beautiful and curvaceous and like, look at this, to now see it again and go right back to my favorite. The line is, are you a double zero? Double zero doesn't exist. It means you're below nothing.
Right.
To not see that curvature of that trend is crazy. And so how do we always maintain that we are enough? It's okay not to feel great. It's okay not to feel like your best, but you're great and you are enough. And today's mood might change tomorrow.
I mean, I have to say, doing, even though when I'm tired sometimes or not half asleep when I wake up, like doing my skincare routine. Yes, I know it's good for my skin, and I make sure to my sunscreen, but it feels like a form of self-care. It makes me feel good. I have very dry skin, so if I don't do something,
you feel it immediately. It's just like
itching.
Yeah, it's like wearing an itchy sweater.
Right.
It's like or the tag in the back. Like something's wrong, But I think skincare is great. I think skincare is great because whether you have a 3-step routine or a 20-step routine, if you have a 20-step routine, we have to chat because I need to know how much time you have in your life because it's amazing. But, I think, listen, if you have a hard time seeing, you get glasses. If you have time hearing, you get hearing aid. If your teeth are funny, you get braces. And why not just do something that you feel great about for your skin? It's not as tight. It's not as drawn. I always say, like, the wrinkles and crinkles, they're attached to a moment and a memory. I mean, like a crow's feet, aka laugh lines. It's because you smile so much. It's because you laugh so much. It's because, the angry number 11s, I get that. Because, like,
oh my gosh.
Are you okay? Are you upset? It's like, yes, I'm looking at a screen all day and I'm concentrating and I'm not meant to. There's too much pressure. And I think if putting on cream or using a cleanser because you don't want to break out, or you love makeup and that's why you use a cleanser, please don't use a makeup wipe only for makeup removal. Please use a cleanser. Please, please, please.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Great. Because makeup is camouflage. So when you can take care of your skin, when you can take off the dirt, the debris, the long day, the smog, the pollution, all of it, it resets your soul. You might not always be able to hop in a shower or hop in the bath, but just doing a cleanse, just doing a serum, it resets your soul for the day. And no one can tell me otherwise.
I totally agree. Yeah, it makes you feel so much better. Yeah. So what would you say? Because yes, the 20-step skincare routines, I'm like, it sounds exhausting. Also, that stuff it's not, there's so many layers and not getting it. What would you tell?
Down.
Yeah, it's not working. What would you say for women, that are over 40? What is the most essential things besides sunscreen, of course, because you always want to wear your sunscreen, to do, like, say, in the morning versus in the evening? What would be like, these are the products you have to use and you should be using them.
A proper cleanser, proper cleanser. And this is not to give you a squeaky clean face. If you're going squeaky clean, you're stripping your sebaceous glands and it's going to go into overdrive, and it's a terrible, terrible cycle. So especially if you have acneic or problematic skin, I always will say use a cream cleanser, use an oil cleanser, replenish the oils versus stripping them. It will make your skin feel great. I believe whatever routine you're going to use, don't feel bad about it. Don't feel pressured about it. So if all you have in your bandwidth is, I have a cleanser, and I'm begging for a cleanser, a serum and a face cream, great. If all you have is a face cream, great. Just use it consistently. I think if you do not have glycolic acid or retinol in your arsenal, whether it's beta hydroxy, polyhydroxy acid, AHA, whatever it is, get one in your routine in the evening. It's the best. And why I will equate it to this is, we know the best night's sleep we will ever have in our life is the night that we change our sheets during the day. We get into the bed and something just feels better. Something just feels like the universe has given us everything and then some. It's those clean sheets. And that's what I equate a retinol or glycolic acid to in the evening. It's like a clean sheet for your skin. Just get it in, let the work do. Now, if you're somebody going, I have sensitive skin, like I said, there's a polyhydroxylic acid that is made for sensitive skin, beta hydroxy acids, alpha hydroxy acids. You got to listen to your skin. Don't listen to what's popular. Don't listen to the ingredient du jour, because retinol's been around for 60, 70 years, okay? So it's not a brand new thing. But it's important to listen to your skin. Does it make my skin feel good? Is my skin getting spicy or reactive or red? Don't use it if that's the case, okay? It's your skin's angry. No one's going to have a good day. And I think just use what's you're able to use in your time width and your aspect in the morning and night and within your budget. You're going to buy a $400 eye cream because it's a fancy person, but you're never going to use that eye cream. Don't buy the $400 eye cream, okay? Buy the $12.99 one if you want an eye cream. I think it's really important. Now in the morning, I love a serum and a moisturizer. I am someone who over time has understood that I can cocktail serums. So you might say, you have so many routines and so many products, but like I'll use 3 to 4 serums in the morning, 3 to 4 serums at night, but it's like boop, 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 different actives, different molecular weights. It's just easy. Put it on, out you go. And I find if I don't use at least a serum and at least my cream, my skin's not as happy during the day. And I live in a place where the wind hurts your face, aka Canada, the icy cold tundra. So it's like, I think it's just important. Seasonally, listen to your skin. If you are in a colder climate, if you do have dehydrated skin, use a thicker moisturizer. It's not going to feel great. And don't forget your hands and your neck and neck.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I definitely, I mean, I live in Atlanta.
Way to rub it in. Way to rub it in. Please.
Well, no, but like
I'm joking. It's just
humidity,
so cold
I
here.
can feel the humidity. I mean, I've lived in Minneapolis, New York, and Chicago.
Oh my God. Minneapolis is
Yeah.
very, very cold. I used to travel there a lot for work.
Oh, it's
a different type of cold.
It is. It like sucks the air out of your lungs. But I can feel when the humidity has gone away, because like first my hands will start to hurt the most.
Yeah.
But I love when it's winter and fall, like a thick, especially at night, a thick moisturizer. My skin's like, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Yeah. Because it's the truth. And, I think my favorite question is, well, can I use this cream here? AKA, can I just use this body cream on my face? No, please don't. Your dermis and your epidermal layer are very different in terms of thinness and thickness and things like that. If you use something that's too thick, it can just be detrimental. So as I say, don't break the bank for skincare. That you're in a position that you go, I can't afford the face cream, but I only have this body cream or a foot cream. Use what's in your budget. Feel great about it. Because the real secret about skincare is consistency. The longer you use it, the better your skin will feel. It's the difference between a grape and a raisin. So just don't break the bank, and don't feel that you have to be somebody else, like chasing the Joneses or any of these things. Be who you are and it will be okay.
Yeah, because some of the stuff that's super, super expensive is like very basic.
So basic.
You could get the same stuff in a drugstore and get the same effects without spending whatever amount of money, sometimes just for the packaging, because Yeah. So do you, since you said you mix your serum cocktail, do you kind of like geek out or nerd out over ingredients? Like, do you get excited about trying different things?
Yes and no. I am the guinea pig at my office because I have the most sensitive skin, so I will react between 10 and 30 seconds. So if something's too new, well, they're like, try this, and I go, okay, but I like the aspects of what different ingredients can do for your skin, as long as you know what they're supposed to do and you don't get sort of hidden by the branding or hidden by the fake information out there. I think there's also conversations where this ingredient is terrible for you, or my favorite, clean beauty. And I say this in a way, clean beauty can be mean beauty. And why I say that is, you like lavender. Okay, great. You like lavender growing in nature? Do you love that? Or do you want me to deplete all that lavender so it can be considered organic and clean and things like that? Not all curated and created ingredients are negative ingredients. And I think if you're not knowledgeable in the chemistry world, in the INCI world, aka the international database of what ingredients mean, don't be a keyboard warrior or an expert until you really go down and why. And I think that's really important, because there's a bunch of ingredients that people should be fighting against, and for everything and we do in our world, whether it's eating, whether it's cleaning, whether it's using, there are ingredients that you're like, why are you putting that in there?
Right. My favorite is chemicals are bad. And I'm like,
bad.
Everything is a chemical. So
sunscreen's a chemical.
Right. Did you drink water today? Because
that's a chemical. It's on our chart of chemicals.
And hydrogen. Like the thing too, like as someone also with sensitive skin, a lot of the times when I have a reaction, it is because of clean beauty, because the synthetics is more consistent and they take the allergens out.
And also they've been tested and tried.
Yes.
And it is so, the only way I can say this, chemicals and ingredients are so under the microscope that they have to go through rigorous testing before it can come to the consumer level. There are ingredients that I've talked about for years that were not on a consumer level yet, and they were not allowed to be used until they figured out a way. Or my favorite is like Matrixyl 3000 that Procter & Gamble had the ownership over for 30 or 40 years, that no other company could use it. It's just one of those things that you have to do as much understanding as you can, as much due diligence as you can, meaning please don't take the first word on Google and say, PattyJoeSmith.com told me this was bad, so I believe her. Or my favorite, when they're a wonderful skincare brand, before they were a skincare brand, would cut down other skincare brands, cut down other ingredients, and then lo and behold, they started their own.
Yeah.
So knowledge is power.
Yes.
But genuine awareness of the industry is also very, very much needed.
Yes, because, again, as someone who works in advertising, I'm going to call out my people. Clean beauty can mean anything. It can mean, there's not
a real thing. Clean beauty is just, it's clean. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And I really wish some regulatory body in some country would step in. I don't care if it's the EU or the FDA, because the amount of misinformation you see, it's kind of like, coffee, like one year coffee can kill you. The next thing it's good for you. Then it's not, then it is. So it's very confusing. And
same with eggs and butter and margarine. And it's, what do we want to sell today? And I think once you realize that things are being sold to you on every level, unless you're able to stand in your own 2 feet, know who you are, know what feels good, know what works, know what doesn't, know your goals, then it's important to know it. And labeling matters. Education matters.
Don't use ChatGPT for your skincare research either.
Well, use it, but then by all means use ChatGPT, but have a little bit of a grain of salt with it, because even if you ask ChatGPT, are you just telling me what I want to hear? It will say to you, yeah, I'm just telling you what you want to hear. So can you go outside ChatGPT, check your sources, check your resources? Remember when we had to do essays and we would actually have to cite our resources?
Yes, bibliography.
Yes. Yeah. Do that today with your life, my angels, because just because Joe Smith told you this is the best thing in the entire world, it's not so great. And I think too many people say what's so great today, and this ingredient's so great today. Like protein is everywhere today, and creatine is everywhere today. But not a lot of people know what creatine can do in the long term for women. But it's the best diet right now, so we should do it. And I think just take a little bit more of a critical eye versus being told the promise. That's that saying, if something sounds too good to be true, it usually is.
Yes. Yeah. So true. Yeah. And it is hard with social media and even just online in general. You can start looking up something and you can get 20 different opinions, and then you have to figure out which one's right. And sometimes you're like, I don't know.
And once the snowball happens and it's big enough and enough people say it, it's also really hard to sort of step outside of yourself and be like, wasn't me, you know?
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I love talking to you about skincare and mindset, and I definitely will include all of your information in the show notes. But
Thank you.
speaking of your brand,
Yeah.
if people want to try it out and use it, what would you say would be the first product or the first, line of products that they should start with?
So I am very proud to say I will always say from Elizabeth Grant, which you can find us on ElizabethGrant.com or pretty much every shopping channel around the world. We love those peeps. Is the Essence of Trissom, which is our number one selling product, but not just our number one selling product, but helped to create the serum category for at-home serum use in 1948. It was the first product that my grandmother ever launched, and my grandmother says it was crude in comparison to what we use today, but it's our number one selling product, and it is a game changer for your skin. And what I love so much about it is you don't have to chuck out your skincare routine. You have another serum, mix it together. You have a cream, use it before. But I can promise you, it will transform your skin on every other level. My personal other favorite is called the Night Wonder Concentrate. It's glycolic acid based. You use it in the evening. It is your little vacuum of skincare, and it will change your skin through every feeling of imperfection that you might have. And I give this to 13-year-olds and 12-year-olds and anyone who has like acneic or problematic skin, and I give it to them because I know I will change this so that people can see this.
I love that. Well, I'm going to have to place an order because, first of all, I love trying out skincare. I love makeup anyways, and skincare, but anything that, makes me feel better. And I love a good serum. And if something that's been around since 1948, that's
nothing to sneeze at. But
yeah.
I think I know somebody at the organization who can send you down a little essence or two. I don't know. I might know somebody there,
Right.
and I'll be more than happy to, because I love when people feel no pressure to do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And guess when that person that tell them thank you too.
She says you're welcome.
Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so glad that we got to talk. It was such a fun, engaging conversation.
Thank you so much. The one thing I do want to say at the end of it is, please, regardless of your age or stage in this world, regardless of if you are a 5-year-old little girl or 13 or a 24-year-old man or an 88-year-old woman or anywhere in between, please be kinder to yourself. Please know that you are the most spectacular person, and that you're here because you're meant to be here. And what's more important than this is always this, and always how we are together. So if we work together to change how we make each other feel, I think it can be a really, really powerful place to be.
I love that. Definitely words to live by, and a perfect way to end the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to Margot for being on the podcast. I hope you enjoyed that episode, listening to it or watching it as much as I did recording it. She was so great to talk to. And I love her philosophy because it's true. How you feel about yourself matters more than anything. And if you feel empowered and good about yourself and confident and secure in who you are, and embrace your imperfections, because that's what makes us unique, then you will look better and feel better. So thank you. And it was great to learn about her skincare brand started by her grandmother, Elizabeth Grant Skincare. I will have all the information in the show notes. And with that finishes up our series on beauty over 40. I hope you enjoyed all 3 of the conversations that I had with 4 amazing women, each sharing their insights, their stories. And I love that we had women from several generations, Boomer, Gen X, and Millennial. And because as women, it doesn't matter what generation we are in, we all need to stick together. And I do think as Gen X and millennials, especially older millennials, we do need to pass on good things to the younger generation, and really, not pass along the things that we were told about. You got to look this way and be this way, to really make sure that women and girls that are younger than us are feeling good about themselves and not letting men or society or other women tell them how they have to look and how they have to feel and what they need to wear and how they need to do their hair. Just be who you are. Don't be a mean girl. Be who you are. Embrace that, because there's only one of you, and we only get so many days on this planet, and we should embrace it. And aging is a privilege, and it will always be that way. And smile lines and wrinkles are something to celebrate. Just make sure you wear your sunscreen, because that will help. Anyway, with that, fellow Gen Xers, we're going to wrap up. Just so you know, coming up in December, we will have our first book club chat. I already have some people lined up to chat about that, so I hope you will tune in. And we will have one more conversation with two women who started a brand for perimenopause and menopausal women. We were supposed to record in October, but unfortunately, I lost my voice, so we couldn't. So we will be putting that up in December. So if you are celebrating Thanksgiving this week in the US, I'm wishing you a happy one filled with lots of good food and gratitude for your family. And if you're not, go enjoy your week, your weekend. And until next time, my fellow Gen Xers, don't you forget about me, because I will not forget about you.